Hey, my name is Steve Jong. I'm the CEO of VRIFY Technology. I'm here today with Eduardo Covarrubias, from the chairman of Los Andes Copper. Now, we're trying out a bit of a VRIFY interview series here. Eduardo is what we like to call a VRIFY rock star, has been using VRIFY 3D presentations to pitch his story. Los Andes is a very exceptional story, which we're going to hear a little bit about here. The point of this conversation, it's going to be a little bit different. Think of it halfway between a corporate pitch and an interview. We're going to use 3D visuals, Eduardo's interactive presentation, and we'll go through a little bit of a company overview and so on, but we're really going to want to focus on, let's say, the most exciting, visually compelling components of your story. Eduardo, I'm going to pass it over to you here, and I'll let you take it away, introduce yourself, tell us a bit about the company, and then we'll jump into some of the more interactive elements.
Well, Steve, great to see you again. Thanks for having us here and working in this presentation. I'm the chairman of Los Andes Copper. I've been involved with Vizcachitas and Los Andes for a very long time, well over a decade. And yes, we've now assembled a pretty good team to move this project forward. I'm happy here to present the project and show some of the features of this deposit with VRIFY.
Awesome. And maybe before we jump into the project side, if you have a few slides, just company overview and things like that, just so everybody knows a little bit about the background of the company, it'd be great.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Let me just sort of go over the usual disclaimer that we have to do. But I mean, in 20 seconds, Vizcachitas is a very, very large copper molybdenum deposit located in Central Chile. We recently put out a pre-feasibility study where we presented our maiden reserves, which are 11 billion pounds of copper equivalent. And in terms of resources, we have 15 billion pounds of measured and indicated resources and another 15 billion pounds of inferred, which are very important because these are inferred that we believe can be converted into M&I fairly easily. In our PFS, using a $3.68 copper price, which is the long-term consensus as published at the end of January, we have 2.8 billion of after-tax NPV and an IRR of 24%. So we have a massive deposit with pretty compelling economics. Again, we're located in the central belt of Chile, prime mining jurisdiction, and this central belt is actually home of 3 or 4 of the world's largest copper mines that are household names in the industry, including Pelambres from Antofagasta Minerals, Los Bronces, Andina, Los Bronces being one of the 2 large operations in Anglo, Andina being one of the subsidiaries of Codelco, and Teniente, the largest underground copper mine in the world. So land of the giants. We own 100% of the deposit, which is, I think, a key feature right now. So we don't have any encumbrances in terms of committed offtakes or strategic partnerships that sometimes can get in the way of advancing a project. In terms of some of the elements of the project, because we're building something from scratch, this is a greenfield project, we don't need to deal with legacy issues, and we can design the project using the latest sustainable mining practices or solutions, if you will. And those include, for example, using filtered tailings to reduce water consumption by half, reduce power consumption by 25% by using HPGR grinding. We're switching to desalinated water. We see that desalinated water is a must from a social and permitting perspective in mining today, particularly in Chile. So all these things are big changes that can be introduced when you're putting a project from scratch, putting it together. Other elements, we're in an area with plenty of infrastructure. The Central Valley is an area that has plenty of mining activity. We have a long-term life of mine, 26 years initially, which we see some potential to increase it to over 40 years with some of that inferred being converted. We're generating over 180,000 tons of copper per year, so that puts us right up there into some of the mega projects or mega copper producers. And again, this has substantial expansion or potential for additional growth, which I'm going to show in the 3D presentations that
I've
Steve
got
and
I got a bunch of questions for you. Why don't we jump over to that side and we'll take it from there.
Sure. Okay, well, Steve, as you can see here, the Vizcachitas project is, even though it's located on the Andes and the foothills of Los Andes, it's very near plenty of infrastructure. We have here 3 ports, which you can see, Ventanas, Valparaiso, and San Antonio. Also, we're located 2.5 hours from Santiago. It's a short drive. And you can see how we have power lines, 60 kilometers of power lines. There's railway lines. There's the desalinated plant. So there's plenty, again, of available infrastructure already in place that helps the development of the project, makes it simpler and obviously cheaper to build and operate. So these are some of the key features. And if we really look into sort of what the project itself is, let me just jump into the project itself. You can see here how we have in the valley, and sorry, I'm being a bit inefficient, just still adapting to this. You can see how we're located in this valley, and let me just show you as a reference. If we want to look at sort of the completed drilling, you can see here how we have a mesh of drilling, which is, again, we have over 180 drill holes, which are 60,000 meters of drilling. And also, very importantly, you can see how a lot of these drill holes are not closed out. You can see here and most directions. A lot of this drilling is not closed off. So you can see how this is a lot bigger. Let me just show you this in another slide where it can be maybe easier to show you. This is what I believe to be a key slide. If you look at, this is the measured and indicated resources above 0.5. So this is sort of the high grade. Obviously, if you use a lower cutoff grade, this is a continuous mass of mineralization. But if you look at the high grade in our valley, you can see that most of it is located in this area here, which is the area that has been traditionally drilled, because this was always thought of as an open pit operation alone. But you can see that there's plenty of mineralization below, and you can see that there's a diatreme on this border, which is a non-mineralized post or later event that displaces the copper around it. This is very, very a frequent occurrence. In fact, Teniente, which is, again, the world's largest underground copper mine in the world, they have the Braden pipe, and actually the best mineralization is around it. In our case, we have a very good mineralization on this portion, of the deposit, but we had never really looked at the other side. And actually, there's no reason why it should be closed out. So what we did is we did go ahead and we put a drill hole in our last campaign, and this completely changed the deposit, because now we're able to show that this deposit extends to the other side of the diatreme. So how big can it be? We need to drill it out. But we can see
the pink in there, that's the highest grade. That's the plus 0.7%. Is that right? The pink on the screen.
What we're seeing here is that on this other side, we're having this big, essentially, this is a 900-meter hole. The last 300 meters are over 0.6. This is high grade by any standard in these type of deposits.
And that whole area, you've never drilled over in that area.
No, we had never drilled, because this was always looked at as an open pit alone. But when you start having these kind of grades, it certainly justifies extending the open pit towards the east side here. There's only so much you can do that, but with these kind of grades, there's also then room for an underground operation that goes after the open pit. So again, this is a bit of a transformational kind of development in the deposit.
And you mentioned at the start 15 billion inferred and 15 billion M&I as well. So you can't include inferred in your PFS. So does that mean that do those inferred resources sit within the pit, but they weren't included as part of the mine plan, or they sit out? Do they sit outside of the pit?
Absolutely. Let me just show you. Let me just show you, and I'll do that with the reserves.
Okay.
Here you can see these are the reserves within the 26-year mine pit. So obviously you can see how you have everything contained in the pit, but the northern area, which I'm going to draw in a minute, this northern area here, it goes well beyond this area here, which is much higher. The reason for that is that the northern area of the deposit, actually the northern area, has much deeper drilling, which is the newer drilling we've done. This area on this side of the deposit has shorter drill holes. And so what happens is these drill holes, which, and let me just put in the drilling so that you can actually hopefully get an idea.
So that, and the proven and profitable is all of the M&I that's within the pit, right?
It's the M&I within the pit. Yes, that's coming out of it. Yeah. Here you go. So here you can see how you have the drilling contained, and you have, and maybe it's a bit obscured, but
no, I can see it in the bottom left there.
Yeah, you can see that this area here has deeper drilling. If you look at the drilling on this, and if you can look at the drilling on this area here, it's generally shorter holes.
Yeah.
So what that means is that your mine pit moves up. Okay, so these are all subvertical developments. So essentially, the units of mineralization move on a vertical basis. So if you have short holes and they end up in good mineralization, you have all the indications that as you continue drilling down, there should be, in fact, an improvement in grades, which is what usually happens. So what we need to do is go back and do some infilling in this area here so we can bring this deposit down. That's a huge change, and that's part of the work we need to do now. So
so is there no deep drilling on that side of the deposit?
Sorry?
And there's no deep drilling on that side of the deposit?
No, let me just get rid of.
Gotcha.
Here. There you go. You can see this is the mine pit, and this is the profile of the drilling. So you can see here.
So it's probably too early to tell, but if those high grade zones extend below, whether it's potentially a larger pit or an underground, or it's sort of an add-on of an underground component to be determined.
No, but definitely to begin with, this is what it does is it expands the pit, because on the northern area we have it already.
Yeah.
So it's in some ways it's defined by the topography, but in the southern area, it's because we have short holes, we run out of classification. So we're really sort of having to deal with resources that suddenly become inferred, and then the mine plan has to deal with them as if it's waste. So we're actually trucking inferred resources, some of it very nice grade inferred resources, and sending it to the waste dumps. And obviously that has an effect on the economics. And we have great economics, but if we can convert this has a very substantial upside potential.
So as you push forward, you have your PFS out. As you push forward on advancing the project, it sounds like resource expansion, exploration still plays a pretty key role in it. What do you, if we look forward in the next couple months, 3, 6, 12 months, what are you most excited about?
Well, definitely, as I was just showing, I mean, we need to go back. We need to let me just show it. Extend here the drilling so we can bring this whole area down. Same phenomenon happens on this side of the wall. There's quite a bit of inferred that gets generated on this eastern side of the wall, and on the bottom you have this phenomena of inferred because of short holes. We need to go back, do that. That's a must. That has direct economic implications on the mine plan, and it goes straight to again to improve that MPV. beyond from what we have today. And the other piece is what I was just showing you a couple of slides back, is really to go and test out what's happening on this other side. So we want to put some more holes. Let me just sort of fighting it out here. We want to put some more holes just to test out how it behaves on this side. On the other side, we have a similar phenomena. Down here, we have a similar phenomena that we need to expand as well. So we have expansion on the western area, which is this yellow mark that I put in. On the other side of the diatreme, which is essentially anybody's guess how big it can be, but it's been completely open. And then continue looking further down on the deep holes. How does the underground potential really develop? So that's really what we're looking to do in the near future.
And what was the price? You said 370 copper is what you used in the study.
We used 368 copper.
$3.68. What's copper today?
Oh,
I'm sure
it's $4. Yeah, it's slightly over $4.
So then if we find ourselves with a copper price in a different copper price environment where, say, it goes north $4 or $5, does that change? Are there a lot of resources within the pit that come into the mine plan, or does that change things drastically for you otherwise than making the thing more profitable?
Let's put it this way. It's not only a change in the size of the deposit that makes a difference, but every 25 cents of increase in long-term copper price is over $500 million US of additional NPV.
Yeah.
So yes, if copper is at $5, this is a crazy number, even with the current resources, let alone the further expansions.
Yeah, that's sort of the leverage you only see in these in these larger projects, right?
$520 million of extra NPV US.
Yeah. Okay, love it. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to take me through it. Anything else you want to touch on before we sign off?
No, not really. Again, thank you very much, Steve. It's always a pleasure, and I hope that you can get a feel for the project with this.
Yeah. All right, Eduardo. Thank you very much. We'll be in touch, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.